Hey there, this is Mike Durr, Kingwood Mortgage Guy, and we are live today. Fortunately, we are with Joe Salas of Purple Paint Inspections and Byrd Properties International, Agent and
Yes.
Urban Development Manager.
Got it, man. You got it. How are you doing, Mike?
I am doing fantastic, and life is good, and business is kind of interesting, and I think we got a lot to talk about. They're really starting to talk about the changes in our industry, and it's, for all intents and purposes, it's a historic change, the way that things are going on. So we'll talk about that, but tell me what's going on with you.
Not much, my man. In the last week and a half, I've started two listings, both of which have contracted over list price.
Oh,
Uh,
interesting.
have a lease listing going in the Woodlands. Just closed a home today for a couple first time home buyers. Life is good, my man. I love staying busy.
Yeah,
So I've
that's
been real
correct.
busy the last couple weeks.
Well, and that is the reason that we do this. And so you will find, if you wanted to call us, that down at the bottom, you'll see information on Joe, and you'll also see information on the Kingwood Mortgage Guy, which is me. And so I'd love for you to call us. I do have a presentation that I thought would be worth going over. And so there it is. And let's just get started so we don't waste anybody's time. They don't want to hear us jabber on. Um, we're going to do humor. I'm going to do another announcement of my first time buyer webinar that's going to be in July 26th. We're going to talk about a little bit of the things that we're going to talk about in that first time home buyer thing. It's going to be grants. It's going to be talking about heroes and public services, public servants, and the people that qualify for this. And just about anybody that is alive today will qualify for this first time home buyer program, where it's a no down payment home buyer program. We're also going to be talking about buying homes. And if you're thinking about buying homes, guess what? Prices, and I this you're going to see this over and over again, prices on homes seems to be stabilizing. Now, Joe just mentioned that he had a couple that sold above the asking price. Joe, do you mind telling us how much above the asking price they sold?
All right, well, let me preface this, Mike, about my approach as a listing agent. So, as a listing agent, just as if I was working with a buyer, part of the process is running comps and understanding where the market is and where it could be in a neighborhood, in a location where the house is. So, my approach as a listing agent usually is to list it a little bit below market. So, it is mostly always an expectation of me and my clients that we're going to beat the list price, but we do set reasonable expectations, both of which were exceeded in the last two listings. So in one of my listings, we have contracted 8% over list price,
Mm-hmm.
which I usually goal myself between 2 to 5% over list. Because we're pricing it a little bit lower than what the market would be. The other one was right at 5%. So both of them were in the 250 to 300 price range. So the market is still rather strong.
So let me ask you about the seller's perception of that strategy, because I know that it's their anticipation is that they want to get the maximum amount, and here you are telling them that to get the max amount, you actually have to go a little bit low.
Yeah, it's all about intelligent pricing and timing. So when somebody contacts me, my goal is to sell the house within the first 2 weeks, if not the first 3 weeks. In order to do that, my job would be to get as many people across the threshold of the house or viewing the house online, as many as possible in those first couple of weeks. Usually within the first 4 to 5 days, I try to do that with multiple offers expected. It is a challenge because the old school thought process, Mike, around that is let me price it high and then we'll negotiate down. And it is my job as as realtor to convince them that my approach and the valuation of the home that I would like to suggest they put on it is the more correct approach. So when you price it high, or when a seller prices it too high based on what the market would consume, they're actually scaring away people from actually visiting that house. In a competitive market, people know most likely that they're going to have to bid over list price. But if you price that list price at where they would have been bidding, then you're going to scare away people because they know that fact that it is a competitive market. So yeah, it's a tough conversation. A lot of times it is a compromise between myself and my clients. But again, I'm trying to price it below that market price mark so that we can build the competition so that the market will consume what they want to consume. It doesn't matter what I say the market price is or the seller says the market price is. The market says what the market price is.
That's right. I see it as art and not so much science.
Absolutely.
Getting it right. Of course, the home has to be right. And I did not, well, I kind of sort of used that when I sold the investment property that I had. I priced it, I think, at $269.9, and I did get about $10,000 more than that, which was a super big win for me, even though I went against my trusty realtor's best advice, which was my wife, which brings me to the next. Anyway, I'll go down the rest of this, but rates just got better this week, so that's good. How about this headline? Loan Depot to lay off 4,800 employees. And we're going to see, or if you've been watching the news at all, you're going to see that there are a lot of lenders that are hurting out there. They're laying off people like crazy just because the business is so much less than it was just 2 months ago. So as crazy as that is. Lock and shop, we're still doing lock and shop. And some of the lenders have actually come back at that. All right, so here's my touch of humor today. Waiter, how do you like your steak, sir? Sir, I like winning an argument with my wife. Rare it is, sir. And if you're married, you get that totally. So, okay, that's enough of that. But I think that's a win that time. So, all right. What every first-time home buyer should know, this is again my shameless plug for the webinar that we're going to do about first-time home buying, particularly in a market like this. This is not your standard home buying market deal or your home buying webinar. We're going to talk about some of this kind of stuff that makes a difference to somebody that's thinking about buying a house, whether they should, whether they shouldn't, and what to look for. So be aware of that. That's coming up on July 26th. Oh, I did that. All right. So this is national news. This came out of, trying to remember where this came from. Current, I can't remember the exact source on this, but there was a 5.41 million homes that are sold, which turns out to be, and since that thing is so small, I have to get my notes here. All right, let's see if I can read it. Does it say 3.4% less last month and 8.6% less year over year? So right now, as much as there are people flocking at homes that are priced correctly, there are less homes being sold this year, and it's not inconsequential. I think one of the articles that I read this week showed that per month, it's in the 50 to 60,000 homes nationwide. Okay, so, and one thing that Joe will agree with is real estate is local. And I've got a map at the back end of this presentation that shows where home inventory is good and where it's not so good. And there are a few places in Texas where it's not so good, but most of Texas, we're pretty steady right here. Let's see, what is this one? This is the same thing to follow up on that housing chart. It shows that 14.3, if I'm not mistaken, is the decrease month over month from last year. as far as the less sales. So, oh no, that's not right. This is the one that shows the number of contracts that people are backing out of. And why would you back out of a contract? What are the reasons people back out of contracts, Joe?
Well, you find something in inspections and you can't come to a mutual agreement with the seller, or you can't afford the total cost of the home after that happens. You can also come into problems with mortgage, clearing financing, appraisals are another challenge. Yeah, the list goes on, but those are
there are all kinds of things out there. They depicted this is that they realized at some point that they had probably offered too much for the house and that they had second thoughts about it. And of course, in some cases, because the mortgage interest rates were rising dramatically, I mean, every day it seemed like they would go up 0.25%, that some people got priced out. I mean, they just didn't qualify for the house. But I think that your answer is more realistic, is that it's usually inspection time is a good time for people to kind of back away from a house, seeing that it's going to cost more money than they expected. And that's what I'm doing. But the point is that the sales this year are substantially down from what they were last year, which was a pretty robust market. Thought that was interesting. This is the map I was telling you about, and the chart. Sorry about that. The blue is showing where the market inventory is pretty steady. Now you're going to see in Florida, there's some red areas. The red areas where they're going to have inventory problems. On the West Coast, particularly along the waterways there and inland too, those are problems. There's a few little problems up here. And you notice right here in Austin, this is Austin, Travis County, San Marcos, New Braunfels, and then this is Dallas-Fort Worth up here. So anytime you get around those populations, but if you look right here, this is Houston, this little section. I don't know if you can even see my arrow. Can you see my mouse? Okay. No. Well, if you recognize Texas, you can see that Houston Metro looks pretty good as far as anticipation of inventory. And I think that's good news for the buyers that are moving to this area. It's also something that will keep people moving to this area. So I think I wish my mouse would show. That would be helpful, but I guess it doesn't, so be it.
Yeah, I think I saw a figure, Mike, published by HAR that said, and don't quote me on this, but it was year over year, we're sitting at 9% more housing inventory this year than last year. That's what I think that figure was.
Right. And of course I found, okay, good. So that's I think that's going to be good for our area, and so I like to just kind of go through and kind of summarize what the news is. And I have a sheet here. I'm gonna go back real quick. Let me just flash back real quick. You can't see this, but this is a group of headlines in a magazine called the Inman. It's kind of a real estate report, and it says. The first box there is, these are headlines. Wary sellers back off asking prices in June. Housing slowdown. Okay, that's one. The next one is home price appreciation slowing at rate not seen since 2006. Now it's interesting to talk about that is the last couple of years we've appreciated between 15 and 20%. So you had to expect that it was going to slow. The article went on to talk about how it's not necessarily appreciation, it's not depreciation, or it's depreciating from 18 to 20%, but it's still 5 or 6%, which is amazing in the scheme of things. Here's the next headline is recession looms, consumers see tide turning in favor of home buyers. That ought to be good news for a lot of people that have been on the fence. You know, I think I took my get off the fence slide right out of the program this week. Home buyers are canceling at the highest rate since the start of COVID. Another detail, Loan Depot to shed 4,800 workers in 2022 in a bid to return to profitability. Next one, interest rate hikes keep Miami at least the least affordable city in the nation. So Miami may not be the place to go right now if you're looking for a bargain. and then how to make the most of the time during a market slowdown. I guess that's for realtors and stuff. But I thought it was interesting to kind of get an idea of what's out there as far as news and what people are talking about. So, uh, for buyers, I've always said the problem with this market that we're just coming out of is it really didn't give you a chance to be discerning about the purchase. And when you're spending a couple hundred thousands of dollars, 200,000 to 300,000 dollars, you want to be discerning. Am I wrong?
No.
And that's why somebody like Joe is such a valuable resource, that he can help you be a little discerning. Even though you've got people clamoring, there's 15 people making offers for a property, you still got to make sure that's a good home for you.
Right. Absolutely.
All right. Cost of buying is stabilizing. So one of the things that, and you can't see it, but on my sheet that's behind me on my computer, I've got the daily rates today. And the 30-year fixed rate today was in 5.7 range. That's actually down because it was 5.875 or even up to 6% in the last couple of weeks, and that's encouraging. It's also 15-year 4.97, so that's still, for anything we used to say is a good mortgage. Less competition for homes is what we talked about before. We talked about sellers are actually negotiating. Yeah, have you seen that, Joe?
Yes, not my sellers, because I like to do the pre-listing inspections. So
Right.
These last two offers, they actually waived inspections, waived option.
Huh.
Yeah, you know, if a seller isn't seeing the response that they want and have only received one or two offers on their own and go under contract, yeah, they're going to be more willing to work with the buyers than previously when they were receiving 20 offers, right?
Yeah, I've got a deal going right now where home property was priced in the $600,000 range, and they came off that a little bit to do the deal. Now that was a deal where there was a, what do you call it, the people that help you move, what's that called, the
Oh, the reload.
reload. Yeah, it was a reload deal. So they negotiated. All right, from the selling side, sellers less likely to go on the market right now. One, because they're probably sitting with a nice low interest rate, and if they're going to go on the market, that means they have to go somewhere, and they don't want to go up to the 5.5 to 6% interest rate. So,
Well, I think that's the biggest problem. I mean, the interest rate is manageable, but where are they going to go?
yeah,
That's the biggest problem right now.
yeah, and I think I see that getting better, but it's going to be a while. Maybe the end of the summer, maybe the fall before that happens.
Yeah.
And it's why trade a low rate for a higher rate? Well, it doesn't seem to be that smart. Again, we're going to be okay with fewer offers. Cash offers are awesome, and then stay patient because the market seems to be correcting. Now, as soon as I say anything definitive like that, the market will go crazy again. But this is what we're seeing based on today and the headlines today. I like to say rates are stabilizing. If not, they're even going lower. And I know the people that have bought recently at maybe a premium over the house price, and they paid in the higher fives, lower sixes. They see this happen and they go, why didn't I wait? Well, why didn't you tell me that? Well, I don't know. The truth is that the way interest rates have risen is unlike anything I've seen in the 25 years I've been in business. And from what people tell me, or at least the headlines tell me, it's never happened like this before. So it's kind of like uncharted territory. But we do the best we can, and that's all we can do. But I do like it that rates are stabilizing. Here's that headline: struggling Loan Depot to cut nearly 5,000 jobs in 2022. Now, I will tell you that I use Loan Depot as not only a retailer, but they're also a wholesaler. And we like Home Loan Depot. They're a good outfit. But for them to be laying off 5,000 jobs in 2022, these are mostly jobs of originators, and they were probably on in the clusters where they have the phones. They're calling people like crazy, trying to get people to refi. And then you're going to have your share of processors, you're going to have your share of underwriters that are all going to be looking for jobs. And it wasn't 6 to 8 months ago when they couldn't get enough loan originators and they couldn't get enough processors and underwriters to handle all the deals they were doing. So shocking, but realistic. And but the mortgage industry is a tough industry right now. And it's not just Loan Depot. I mean, it's Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Chase. All of them are letting people go in droves. And our market is being hit pretty hard. You're going to see some of the newer originators. I'm sure that there are people that call you on a regular basis, Joe, that are wanting to get you to use them for whatever reason, because they need the business. And I think it'll intensify over the summer. But I think that come probably by the first of next year, there are going to be a lot less people in the mortgage industry.
Yeah, I had one show up at my open house.
Is that right?
First time in a couple of years that I've seen something like that.
Yeah. I mean, well, and I think that's a good tactic. You got to be in front of you. That's a key thing.
Yeah.
I say he. It could have been.
No, it was he. Yeah.
So the lock and shop program, one of the companies, my primary investor that I use consistently, had let this go because they didn't like it, because the way that brokers like myself were using this lock and shop, we would lock in a rate if it was good for us and good for the borrower. But if the rates went down in the meantime, we would abandon it. But they've come back and they're still doing it. There were a couple other companies that do it. Loan Depot does this also, as a matter of fact. But what this does is allow us to lock in a rate for up to 90 days without you having a house. And so you can shop, you can be discerning, you can find the right property, not worrying about the interest rates going too high or going continually up. Now, whether it is a great strategy right now, I'm not sure. It sure does eliminate the high end if rates do start up again. And there are a lot of people that think they're still going to go 7-8%. I don't know. I'm not seeing it right now. They seem to be stabilizing, but it's a good program and it can't hurt you. So that is all I've got today. We were able to get that done in 22 minutes. That's not too bad. Joe, anything to say as a post to the end of this show?
No, I just want to say congratulations to Nathan in London on the purchase of your new home. And then also I wanted to have a second, Mike. I know this show is geared more towards the first-time home buyers that are looking to get information about, the buying process, the mortgage and inspection process. But I have a special announcement, and you and I have talked about it offline, but it's come to, I guess, a reality, me finishing the classes. But I am now able to transact commercially within my brokerage. So
nice.
I'm happy to announce that I've made it through all the 90 hours of class that I had to make it through. I've passed the 3 tests, and now I'm actively searching for a couple properties for a few commercial clients. So I'm excited about the future of commercial. And if anybody's watching needs any help in commercial real estate, even though I'm new, I'll do my best to help you the best I can. So
now there's a couple different parts of that I want you to kind of discern for people, so that
Sure.
They may know somebody, and that's the way it happens. Is somebody knows somebody that is out there looking to either build a property or to occupy a property or to buy a property. Tell me what, and then there's the leasing part of it. So tell me, you told me, but I want you to tell the folks what the angle is that you think you're going to be aiming.
Sure. So I'm most comfortable with residential properties. So most likely I see a good kind of parlay into multifamily residential, helping commercial clients buy properties with units numbering 4+. But also I do feel comfortable in the industrial world from my oil and gas experience and steel experience, to where I think that would be a good benefit for any clients that are looking in the industrial/warehouse frame of business. So those are the 2 that I'm going to concentrate on. I do have a few referral clients that have been sent to me recently that are looking for lease space for a consulting business, etc. So hopefully I'll be able to help out across the whole spectrum, but my main concentration, or at least my loves currently, are the multifamily residential and also the industrial / warehouse commercial side of business. Yeah.
Good. Yeah, a lot of people don't know where to go. They just usually would go to a bank on a deal like that. So I'm gonna, since you brought that up, it reminded me, I've got 2 deals going right now that are bank statement loan purchases. And this is an alternative program specifically for self-employed borrowers, where if, like, what happens for a self-employed person, a lot of times they will live out of their business. In other words, the money that they bring in, even though it'll be plenty of money, they don't count that on their tax returns. Well, in the mortgage industry, we use the tax returns as the only source for counting their income. Well, if somebody does that, they may bring in millions of dollars through their bank statement, but claim that they only make $40,000. So the bank statement program is another option. The rates are a little bit higher, but it's a great option if you want to buy a nice house. And I've got 2 going right now, and they're great programs for people that just are self-employed and need a little bit extra help on the income. So that's another thing for you self-employed guys to know that those are valid, good loans, and I'd love to help you with those too. And I guess that is the way we're going to end it today. Joe, great having you on the show today. I thank you for coming. And shoot, dude, I'll hopefully talk to you before we are on next week.
All right, sounds good, my man. I'll see you.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for being on the show. We'll talk to you next time.